Hey guys, welcome back to the channel.
Hey guys.
Thanks for joining us again for another conversation. So today we're going to talk about this clip that I watched on the roommates with Shan Boody. Do you know who Shan Boody is, Nicole?
No, her first of all, her name's hilarious. Shan Booty,
Booty?
like as
Yeah,
in booty cheeks.
Booty.
Okay.
Shan Boody.
No, I don't know who she is, but I did watch the clip you sent me. I thought it was pretty dope. I liked what she was saying on there. And that was the first time I actually saw her. So yeah.
Yeah. So she's like a relationship coach, sex educator, stuff like that, and she has a pretty big like channel and followers and stuff like that. So
Okay.
definitely check out more of her videos. But before we get started with showing you the clip that we're going to discuss, let's go ahead and grab a drink.
Grab your glasses, guys, and do a virtual cheers.
You're listening to Tash and Nix.
Let's get started.
All right, Nicole. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip.
Okay.
Hey, let's get into it. So, you're obviously majority female audience. What are some of the things you've noticed that women sharing to you about their struggles in regards to dating, relationships, and intimacy when it comes to dealing with men?
Majority of the time it's that lack of commitment, the lack of follow through. So there'll be an initial interest that tapers off, that a certain type of woman tends to attract all the attention, but everybody else is sort of left for scraps and left in the shadows. But by and large, I mean, the pandemic hasn't necessarily changed the way that people are complaining about it. They're still just looking for more, like, put both feet in and be here. If you're going to be here, be here. And if not, then this like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like dance that's happening is just not enjoyable. And it's ruining a lot of people's self confidence. So I don't think I've necessarily heard anything new. And I think that when I've been listening to the conversations that men are complaining about, I feel like they're complaining about a certain kind of woman.
Mm,
Whereas in the average woman is like, no, I'm interested in listening. I'm interested in knowing what you want. I'm interested in being here for you, but I need you to actually show up for that discourse to happen.
mm, that is interesting.
That is very interesting. I feel like we think the exact opposite.
All right, Nicole. So what did you think about that?
Well, I do think she made a lot of valid points, to be honest. One of the things that she said was there's a lot of lack of commitment and lack of follow through.
Hmm.
And the first part I want to talk about is the lack of commitment part, because I think you and I both, when we went through our dating phases, that we found that a lot. We found a lot of times where,
I'm still there.
yeah. But even when I was going through it, it just felt like it was really hard. I mean, to get someone to go on a date, that's not an issue. It's just that a lot of the kind those guys were seeking like just friends with benefits or just vibes or there was no actual like plan of action to make a commitment. And I think that is something that a lot of women, especially women who are like our age range, are dealing with today. What do you think?
I feel like basically what she said to just sum it up for me, it's a lack of consistency as a
Yeah.
whole. Like it's never consistent. You're like constantly in like this just spinning wheel of the dating cycle. Like you'll meet someone, you'll have a good date, you'll talk for a few weeks, they fall off. You'll meet someone, you have a good date, and it just like keeps going and going. It's never like consistent.
Yeah.
What do you think that is? What do you think is going on that's not like consistent? I think this
They have
talking about women, but I think that's for men and women in general.
yeah.
Right?
They just have more options than us. I mean, and it's just true. And guys, if they are one thing women I think tend to do is overlook the truth of what a person says to you. A lot of times men will straight up tell you like I'm only just looking for vibes or just to chill or I'm trying to be friends first. And then you kind of go into it thinking, okay, well, let's try this out. But then the whole time you're not moving forward. There's no progression. They told you what they wanted from the beginning. So I think kind of to piggyback off of what you were saying, the reason why, in my opinion, they do it is because they have options. I mean, and you just may not be one of them. I mean, one of the ones that they want to pursue. I mean, we have to be honest with each other and ourselves because that's why. One thing I know for sure is if a man wants to be with you, he will be with you. The man is truly pursuing you, he will pursue you. So if you're getting like a mixed signal, or if you're getting a vibe where you feel like they're not consistent, they're not following through on their word, then the truth is that they're just not that into you.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
seems like a lot of men, they say they don't like games or they don't like, someone making them chase. They're like, no, if you're like a mature man, you don't like all of that. But I find it like if I'm interested, if somebody shows interest in me first and I
Yeah.
show interest in them back like right away, it's almost like it kills it for him. Like, because it's not
Yeah.
space for you anymore. I'm not making you run after me and stuff like
Yeah.
yes, like that.
I do get that part, like, because the men like to chase, and I think that sometimes women, not women, but I've seen it to where you're maybe overly aggressive in the beginning, and that's not even aggressive really. It's just that, they might be like, "Oh," like, and kind of back off from
Yeah,
you. But I mean, we always listen to so many men tell us so many things. Don't be aggressive, be aggressive. I've heard, well, why don't women reach out to me and try to holler at me? But then when you do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop. Like, which one is it? Do you want to be the pursuer? Do you want me to put myself out there? Like, which one? you
right.
know
Like, which one is it? I feel like it varies from like man to man, but overall, I think men are usually the pursuer. So
yeah.
if you're having to go after him and having to chase him, he probably don't want you because if he's interested, you really won't have to chase a guy.
And I'm gonna tell you now, if you get into a relationship where you're the one who is chasing the guy, it's not gonna last. I'm just being real with you. Like, I'm saying that because if you have to force a person to be in a relationship with you, it's not gonna they have no reason to like stick around because they really didn't want to be in it in the first place. So that's just my opinion.
Have you ever felt like you were in a situation where you're like maybe not chasing him, but you were showing a lot more effort?
Hmm. I'm trying to think. More effort on my part? No. Uh, but I think I've been in situations where I definitely wanted it to go like beyond the point we were at, and I kept getting told that's where we were going, but it never got there.
Right.
So I definitely have been in that type of situation where I'm just like, okay, what is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, one thing I learned too is when you're in a situation and you're thinking it's going somewhere, but all you're continuously getting is confusion, let it go. Because the truth is like anyone that you're sure of or is sure of you will not cause confusion in the situation. You won't be confused.
Yeah. I think it's like with you saying that guys have like a lot of options, like I feel like only certain guys have a lot of options. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know, girl, because these I be seeing broke down homeless men always with another woman. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but she also be broke down at home. Like it's not like they have options of like, oh my God,
Yeah,
so many beautiful women are around them all the time. Certain guys do have those options. I feel like for the
yeah,
majority, like most of us are like average people and we don't really have like a roster of 10 serious like
yeah,
you may have people you like you go out to dinner with or whatever, but like 8 out of 10 of them aren't serious about you. So it's
that's
like you
true.
really don't have relationship potential, a lot of options as far as that. Of course, women always have sexual partner options. Like
Yeah,
we can always have that whenever we want. Men, not so much.
yeah, that's true. I think so.
Yeah.
What do you think about what she said about men? Like, the men are seeking a certain type of woman, and then everyone else is like left with the scraps. What do you think that meant? I was a little confused by that.
I know I'm like, oh, are we the scraps? No. I get what she's saying, and I think it's kind of twofold. Like it can be on both sides of the fence. I think a lot of men, because we have stuff like Instagram and it's so like deceiving these days because everybody can get that BBL and get the titties and
Facts.
the number two body that everybody's getting at the surgery office these days, and they all look alike. So when
Facts.
you get on Instagram, like they may have a good woman that has like a natural body, average girl, cute, pretty, but they're seeing like these big booty, big breasted bitches like on Instagram all the time, day in and day out, and they think
Yeah.
that man, like I kind of want to go after that. Like if I can only get that, so it's kind of like you have like a shiny diamond right here, but you see something shinier over there, and you kind of like, maybe I can go one more up. And you get that, and you're like, oh, maybe I can go one more up than that. And you're always trying to like one up the last one instead of trying to actually focus on characteristics of the person and making it work with that person. I think
That's a
that when
good one.
we'll have a good guy and we're like, ooh, maybe I can get that lawyer, or he seems like he's more financially stable, or someone would feel like, oh, he can take care of me. So they leave something that's good for something they think they can get, and you don't end up getting it.
Like that 80-20 rule that people always talk about. You can have someone that's that 80%, and then you see that 20% and that of what you're not getting, you go after it, and you leave that 80% behind, and now all you got left is the 20%, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I mean, it is hard, honestly, as a female, especially a Black female, trying to date. And the standard, I mean, because even white women, same. I mean, they get bodies to look like a certain standard, and honestly, they all end up looking just alike. I remember I went to go eat probably like 2 weeks ago, and
Mhm.
I seen a group of women that walked in, and they definitely had their bodies done. Like it was clear, you know? And it's just funny to me because I'm sure that there are men who would, salivate over them versus me. And, I'm a rectangle. You know what I'm saying? Like, what, what am I supposed to do with that? You know?
You are not a rectangle.
But
I even
I'm just
like
saying.
shape on the scale. Like,
What do you say?
you're a rectangle. Am I even a shape?
But I'm just saying because everybody wants this female that has unrealistic proportions. Like the hourglass shape used to be a shape that literally only a certain percentage of women even had, like in general. And now everybody gets it. Like you see people who are clearly overweight. Let's just be real. Clearly overweight, and they're getting their bodies done. So they got these big old arms, but this little ass like waist. Like, come on. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's just like it is unrealistic. And a lot of men, I think, have to realize that. But I think once they get to a point of realizing it, we've already been like, like, see you later. Like we've moved on to bigger and better things. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying now about her perspective in terms of what do we get, the scraps, you know what I mean, because we're not built like, I don't know, those girls out there, all the Instagram models, like,
Yeah.
mm,
Do you think most men today have commitment issues?
hmm. Based off of my own experience, I would say yes. Just based off of the men that I've met that have been honest about like really trying to pursue something seriously, um, versus the ones who have just literally looked for vibes and friendship. I remember I told a guy one time, I was like, well, I mean, can't you be friends with anybody? Like, why do I need to be your friend? I'm like, if I could be your friend, that's cool. But like, my friends don't offer to eat my ass from the back. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is like, if we're gonna be friends and that's it, there should be nothing more. And then they come back with this like argument, like, well, shouldn't we be friends first and develop it into something? I'm like, that is so ridiculous because yeah, we should be. Anyone should be a friend with the person that they're with. But the truth is that you want things that are benefits in a relationship, but only want to keep it on a friendship level. Go to
Yeah.
hell. Okay, Rodney. Go to hell.
Yeah.
You know.
That's when it's like, come on. If you want to be friends first, then we're going to be friends by
Yeah,
definition.
like
And and
1000%.
me and you are friends, and we don't have sex. So that's what
Nope.
we're into.
Correct. I'm like, I'm treat you like my girlfriends. You know what I mean? Not one of them do I want to hump.
You want to go get
So
your nails done, sis? Because you want to be
facts.
friends. But it's like I do see like kind of why men may have commitment issues, or they're like weary about getting in a relationship. So when I first like reposted that Shan Booty, her name is funny, that Shan Booty clip on Instagram, this guy I know gonna message me. He kind of had attitude,
Okay.
but he was like, "I bet she wasn't complaining when she got those free meals though. I bet she wasn't complaining then."
All right.
Like I couldn't hear his
Was that
voice in my head. I'm
was that
imagining.
his voice? Okay.
And it's like I do know a lot of women that go on dates just to get a free meal.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do too.
just to use you, and it sucks for the women that aren't going on dates for that reason, that do want to go on dates to really get to know you and want to spend time with you and aren't concerned about if you take me to fucking steakhouse and spend $500 on me. Like we're looking for a real genuine connection, and it sucks when that's
Yeah.
kind of put as the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like guys will try to like then avert that and be like, well, why don't we just do something like we even got to the point, especially when the pandemic was occurring, um, and we were on quarantine where we had to be, more open to like dates that would be walks and stuff like that. I mean, you can even do that to feel out if a person is real or not, but you shouldn't let make everybody else pay for your past you know, experiences. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just not fair.
Yeah. And a lot of men are like harsh on women. Like if I was like going out with somebody and I was like, it's hard for me to trust my new boyfriend because my last boyfriend cheated on me. You'd be like, I need to heal from my past. Like you're kind of doing the same thing.
Do you think guys actually heal? Like, do you think they actually take the time to heal and before they move forward to the next person?
Refreshingly, I've met a lot of guys as of like recent, like in the past year, that actually say that they've gone to therapy.
Good.
And obviously, that's something that used to be like embarrassing to people. Even if they did do that, they wouldn't tell you about it because they don't want you to like have preconceived notions about them. I
Yeah.
think a lot of men are more open to doing therapy now, luckily, and I think that's a good thing just for the future in general.
Yeah.
But a lot of us just have a lot of us in general just have issues. Like I don't know very many people that shouldn't be in therapy for something. Like,
Especially black people.
yeah.
Like we should get free therapy as part of reparations from from the time we were children because there are things I was traumatized from just being a little black girl,
Mhm.
in America. We definitely need to get therapy. Therapy is expensive though. And there are like we've gone over this before in our pandemic depression episode
Yeah.
where there were resources and stuff, but overall just to bring it back to what you were saying, I also feel like I've met men who um have worked through that pain, that heartache, that whatever they were going through prior to meeting me. I'm grateful that now I'm in a relationship where the person I met for a while before they met me, which is good. But the person I dated prior to him, just for like a little bit, he did not. He didn't reveal it to me after a while, but he was like, "Oh yeah, we just like called off our engagement in November." I'm like, You mean like 3 months ago, November?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I still saw her in December and January. And I'm like, oh wait, do you mean you know what I mean? Like you clearly haven't moved on and the work on yourself. And it showed in whatever we were trying to do at that point. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I recently went out on a date with somebody and I was like, "Oh, when was your last relationship?" And he was like, it just ended like a month ago." And I was like, "How long were you together? 5 years?" Like, what? Are you sure
Mm-mm.
you're ready to be here?
No, he's just bored. Like he
Right.
needs to go home and possibly like,
Yeah.
do something like watch Ayanla or something. I'm not sure, but he
Yeah.
needs help.
I get that, but I think the mistake men and women make is that, like, for our own selfish reasons, we'll like go out on dates to get over somebody
Yes.
else, and we're wasting somebody else's time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever heard that saying like to get over your ex, you got to get up underneath somebody else? I'm
That's
like,
the
that is
worst
the
advice I can
worst advice I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I've never told someone that ever. Like
Yeah.
I just don't understand why that would be a thing because the truth is that you're just passing off your energy to somebody else. You're not dealing with the issue, you're burying it. And then in your new relationship, all that stuff that you buried will resurface itself. So,
Yeah. You're taking one
yeah.
issue and just like compounding other issues right on top of it by doing something like that. Like,
Let me ask you. She said something about men complain about a certain type of women or woman, right? Who like what have you heard complaints about like in general?
I've heard complaints about the whole using men for meals or for money, only wanting men that make a certain amount of money, kind of like
Okay.
superficial stuff like that. Or I've seen a lot of like I guess women on Kevin Samuels, it's like, oh, like single mom, 3 kids, 3 different guys, and she wants top notch, like 10% of men out there. It's like, hey, you can have whatever you. Oh, and she's like 5'5" and 300 pounds. It's like you can want whatever you want. Don't mean that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like
Yeah.
thinking about like our unrealistic standards.
Okay. I think I've heard that men say that women, especially black women, of course, because we're targeted, have bad attitudes, and we don't know how to let men lead. And I've heard that, and I've also heard that just other races besides us are just easier to get along with.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if I personally agree with that. I definitely know people on a few different sides that would fit that description, and they're not just black, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but I will say that I have heard some things, and it really depends on the type of person. I don't feel like I have too many friends in general, but um, too many friends
What's
who
that?
act like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I personally don't feel like I have that, and I wouldn't want a friend like that, to be honest with you. Like, if I'm like, man, you are super ignorant. I've had a friend like that. I'm like, you are extremely ignorant. Like, this is not going anywhere. You can't do this and act like that towards this person and think that he's gonna want to be with you. Like, this is bizarre. You don't hear yourself? Like, what?
Certain friends, I feel like like they're for a lifetime. But then there's some certain friends if you ever get married and like have a family that they may not last through that time of your life
Yeah.
just because of their headspace.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you get married, like your loyalty is to that marriage. You put everything into that marriage and you make your husband your top priority. And some friends can't handle that. Like they're like jealous of stuff like that.
That's
You may
really
you
weird.
have a boyfriend or something, or it's like, oh, how when you became in a relationship, if I was like, oh, she can't do nothing
Yeah.
else, like,
And that has nothing to do with you. Your priority, if that's what you seek and if that's what you want, if you're gonna have a husband, if you're gonna date to with a purpose to marry, then that's where your priority should lie. Like, and if a person doesn't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird to me. I've had single friends. I have one single friend in particular I know from Dallas, and she always got that. She always understood it. She never was like, if she wanted to go out, like say if she was coming into town, she understood, like, I'm not about to be out till like 4 in the morning. Like, I have a husband at home. I would never put my friend in a situation like that either. I wouldn't want it to help her disrespect her relationship or marriage.
right,
And I did have someone say, like, I haven't heard from you in a while. Um, I thought it was because your new boyfriend. I was like, first of all, he's not new. It's like, secondly, you know, the phone works both ways. And lastly, why would you think that? The problem isn't with me. It's you. Like, you can't
right.
feel that way. It's weird. I've never felt like that I've always just been happy, my friends have found somebody. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I've never felt like when I had a friend that got a boyfriend or like recently my best friend, she's getting married. Like, I never felt like, oh, I'm losing a friend. I felt like, oh my gosh, she's elevating her life to the next level. I'm so like happy for her.
Period.
Like,
Yeah.
like she deserves this. All my
Yeah.
friends, they deserve somebody like great in their life. Why would that be like? And I
A
know that's
bad thing.
why, and that will come from me eventually. But why would I hate on like somebody else for having that?
Correct. I think one thing too with you, Tasha, I will say, because you know that I have children, and when you met me, you were aware of that. And I like that even when you were planning like trips or whatever, you would take that in consideration, because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people do not care. I had a girl when I first was going through my divorce, and I'm freshly into it. She
Yeah,
got mad at me because I couldn't go out with her all the time, and I'm like, what? Yeah, she was legitimately upset with me because I could not go out with her, and I'm like, well, I can only go out with you like, I'm not one of those moms who just can drop their kid off anywhere or trust my kid with anyone. So I have a limited time to like hang out, and you're mad at me because I can't get drunk every
right.
Thursday and Friday with you. Like, I don't I'm sorry, but,
Right.
like, I can't,
Does
do
she have
that.
kids too?
No.
That's weird.
Mm-mm. She
I
doesn't
know
have
some
kids,
people with
and
kids that be turned up more than me, and that makes me raise a side eye to like
yeah.
people that
I
got
mean, hey, like, live your life, but, like, the truth of the matter is your kids notice that shit. Let's just keep it real.
yeah. You can't possibly be like a great mom and you're at the club every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like you
No.
can't. Or dad.
And, like, moms gotta have a life too. I'm like, you're right, moms do have to have a life,
Yeah.
but your priorities should change when you have children. Otherwise, in my opinion, you're a selfish person. You cannot be a selfish mom. If you wanna be a good mom, you can't be a selfish one, you know? And not to say that you should sacrifice yourself. You should have fun. You should go on trips. Like, me, I'm like, hey, if I know that your birthday is this time frame and I really want to go, I make arrangements. Like, you do things like that, but you're not about to catch me out in the club every, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday or happy hour. I don't have time. I'm tired. Like,
I don't
what?
even have kids and I'm tired. Like I don't need to be
Yeah.
we go out together and I'm like, ready to
Yep.
go?
We'll be ready to go when we get there. Like, well, we're gonna be here for about 30 minutes. Like,
Right. Because that type of stuff gets old. I feel like if it doesn't get old to you when you start like reaching a certain age, then it's kind of weird.
yeah,
Like,
and what do you really want? Like, maybe reassess your priorities because you can't still want that lifestyle, but also still want children and be a wife.
yeah,
It doesn't work like that, you know. It just doesn't. And I think like what you were saying about that gentleman, or when you said that thing about the guys complaining about certain types of women, same thing. You cannot want all these things and have not done the work on yourself to be those things. Like it's irrational.
right.
Yeah.
What's like some complaints you've heard about Black women in particular?
Besides the attitude and us not learning how to really submit, that part confuses me a little bit because I do see that argument. I'm not going to lie. I've definitely heard it before. Maybe not to me particularly, but I belong to certain Facebook groups. A
Hmm.
lot of times I'm just in them because they're so dramatic. Some people in there are out of line. Um, but some of them are like, "No, fuck him, he like, my man ain't shit," and, I'm like, and I bet this is how you speak to him. I put money on it, you know? You don't address people like that. There was, like, one text, like, between the man and his woman with the man and his wife, and he was like, "Hey, babe, I know you were talking about working out the other day. You said you didn't feel good after having the baby. So I got us a membership at the gym. I want you to work out." And she's like, "Wow, I thought you loved me for who I was." And again, I don't know if this was a real text thing. It could be, it could not be, who knows? But the conversation that was going on in the messaging was funny to me. They were like, "Girl, fuck him, leave him." I'm like, and only like maybe one or two people thought the way I did, like, "Girl, you about to lose your husband."
Right.
Like, because I mean, the truth is that I didn't see that what he said was wrong or incorrect, and he explained that to her. He's like, "Well, babe, I'm not saying that anything is wrong." Well, no, he did say something like, "I'm not as attracted to you as I was before," but I guess he was just being real in his relationship, in his marriage with his wife, and that's possible. That things happen to both sides. He could gain weight. There could be things that he doesn't do that well that he used to do in the past.
Hmm.
People don't realize like once men turn 30, things happen to them. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, shit happens. So you have to be willing to like work through hard parts and hard things. And maybe that's a hard thing, but that's not something to be like, F you, like, move out of my house. Like that is insane,
Yeah,
you know?
and that's why like I don't know if you kind of watch. I watch a lot of like the manosphere thing that's kind of like in right now on YouTube. Like Kevin
Hmm.
Samuels, he's
Oh,
considered the manosphere, and there's other channels like him. And when they talk about how like getting dating advice from women isn't like a good idea, I agree to a certain point. I think it
yeah.
depends on the woman. I think my grandmother gives great relationship advice. She was married for over 50 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I love Judge Lynn Toller.
Yeah.
And we talk about stuff sometimes because you've been married, you know what that's like. So there's certain people I trust that could give me good advice on that. But there is a lot
Yeah.
of women that's like, he sneezes the wrong way. Girl, leave him. He ain't shit. Like, Sis, like what? You just
Wait. No, I mean, women can be detrimental to other women and give bad advice too. I do think you should have some quality males in your life as well to give you that kind of like advice. I know my friend Alex Starks, I call him Boy Alex.
Mm,
He always would give me like straight up truth about myself, whether I liked it or not. Like, and I appreciate that about him. Um, but one thing he always did was encourage me. And he always like even when I was like, well, I felt like did this, I worked on myself and this happened. He's like, sometimes that'll happen. You can be at your best and meet
yeah.
somebody who is not, and it's not your fault. So I really appreciate that too. I think women should have both men and women mentorships, just to like guide them and give them good advice, as best advice that they can, you know.
Yeah, I just hate that like someone will tell you to leave over something small, but when it comes to them, like if they gain 300 pounds, it's like accept me how I am, love me how I am, but you wouldn't do that for the other person if the situation
Yeah.
was reversed. So
Exactly. You can't do that. And you should not listen to stupid people because they probably grew up in a household where their mom was in charge. And then their mom, either if they were with somebody, treated their significant other badly, or they weren't with somebody who really knew how to take male leadership themselves. And they never saw sort of like the roles that you should have in a marriage or a successful marriage or relationship. So
mhm.
I just feel we like, remember you were on, what's his name's podcast? I can't remember his name. The Roommate
Another
or
soul-
Soulmate?
yeah,
Yeah, and they were talking about holding each other accountable, and I'm like, I mean, he's telling the truth, like, I mean, facts. And my sisters, I was like, yo, we need to hold each other accountable for stuff. And I really, really think about it. We were raised to be very independent, but we were raised by our dad. So I mean, our dad did a lot of telling us what to do, making sure that we knew how to do everything and not have to really depend on a man. And I don't know
yeah.
if it's because he understands the dynamic in America versus where he was from, but yeah, here it's different.
Yeah, and I think that's confusing as well for women because we get so many different messages from all over the place as far as like what men want. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
women I know they're they did have a dad in the household and their dad raised them to be independent. Their dad raised them to put education as a priority so you don't need a man in the future.
Yep.
So you only would, want one, but they're not in need. Now
Yep.
men are like, oh no, we need you to need us. And so for us, it's like, I've been told
You're
my
like,
whole life.
what?
Like, right, right, what? I was
Facts.
raised to be like submissive to a person, or that concept wasn't like really in my household. And I was raised very old school. But
Yeah.
even grandparents didn't talk to me about that. They made education a priority and being able to take care of myself a priority.
Yeah.
Like when submission first came up in like conversation with a man, it kind of like made me feel like, whoa, like it was kind of scary
Yeah.
to me because I was like, one, I had that issue, and then I guess you can say like we both have like you should say daddy issues from dealing with our dads when we grew up. And I felt like, if I like submit to this person and fully trust him, like he can pull the rug out from under me at any time. And I don't like that idea.
Hmm.
Like through going to therapy, I realized I think I'm just scared because like my dad, the person that was supposed to be like my protector, kind of made me
Hmm.
feel like he pulled the rug out from under me. So now
Yeah.
that's kind of how I view men, even though I had like a good man figure, my grandfather, it's kind of made me like, ugh.
Be leery and not want to
Yeah,
put yourself. And you know what the truth is, Tasha, is we can have toxic fathers and mothers. You know,
right.
um, you know what I mean? And so it also does not give us an idea. Like my mom was taken care of most of her life. And I shouldn't say most, pretty much all of her life. By
Yeah.
my grandfather took care of them, like anything they needed, they had it. And my grandfather had 8 kids and he's from the Caribbean and they literally he had it like that. And so my mom, that was her expectation. So she and my father were married and she was pretty much taken care of her whole life. But my
Hmm.
dad raised us to be opposite. I used to think I don't want to be anything like my mom. But I get why she made the sacrifices that she did. However, that directly led to me being in an unsuccessful marriage. you know. When I wanted to leave my marriage, my mom was just more like, "Well, what's going to happen about this? Who's going to take care of these bills? Who's It wasn't even like, "Are you okay?" Because I kinda kept it to myself for such a long time as to
Yeah.
why we were getting divorced, and I just couldn't believe her. Like, I remember I was on the phone in the store, and I just stopped, and I was like she's like, "Why are you have you thought this through? Are you really sure?" Like, and I was like, "You know what, mom?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure because I don't wanna end up like you." That's what I told her, and she
Yeah.
was just like, you know? I mean, after she got on board, but it was just like, "Girl," like,
Yeah.
they can contribute to you being in a toxic relationship yourself, so
Mhm.
after all of that, all the work, having to go through therapy myself more than one time, you know, I
Mhm.
really had to just take a good look at the things that I really truthfully wanted and the work that I had to do on myself, you know?
Yeah. I felt that.
Yeah.
Well, dang, this has been a good conversation.
I know.
That was a good clip to watch. Is that all we have for today, Nicole?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to post the link to the full video of that clip. You guys can watch if you want. Another roommates podcast. The whole video is pretty good. So I encourage you to watch it, Nicole. But until next time,
Bye, guys.
bye.